Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to paint with markers, acrylic markers. You may even have some in your stash, and I hope you paint along if you do. I'm using the reference photo from the Food Paint Challenge over on Instagram. It's a really fun art challenge. They post a new photograph every week, and then you can draw from it and upload your artwork, and it's just a lot of fun to see what other people do and to take part in yourself. So I'm starting off just by doing a loose sketch with a white colored pencil in my Tone Tan Mixed Media sketchbook. This is by Stillman and Byrne. It's the Beta Series Beige sketchbook, and it has like a lot of pages. It has 150 pages, and the pages are kind of thin, and I didn't love this sketchbook at first, and I have to say, the more I use it, the more I like it. So I have been forcing myself to use it because it was kind of expensive, and now I'm actually kind of enjoying it more and more with every page. But anyway, I started off by using 15 millimeter tip markers for the background, the blue and the pink, and then I used a 10 millimeter tip marker to fill in that plate. I'm just kind of blocking in colors at this stage of the game. Now I'm using some different brush markers. I have some new liquid filled markers from Artix, and then the old acrylic markers that have like a marker pad on the inside, so it's not like the liquid filled, you don't have to shake them up. I'm just kind of getting a feel for them to see how they differ, because I do want to do a video kind of explaining the difference between all these Artix markers, because they have so many acrylic markers now. And I actually recently bought some empty acrylic markers so I could have some wide markers, and those are really cool too. They're not by Artix, they're from Amazon. There's a link in the video description if you want to check them out, but that's kind of nice too, because then you can make your own custom color palette. Now I've got markers coming out my ears, and I don't know how to store them so I can get to them all now, because my little marker rack that I used is woefully inadequate for these chunky, bigger markers that I used at the beginning. But anyway, this is just fun to doodle with. Actually, I have to say that I think at heart, I love using drawing media, and there's just something that's so direct about holding like a pastel or a marker or a pencil in your hand and just going for it, you know, on the paper. I think there's just something really fun, and it's kind of like you're being a kid again. Now here I'm doing some wet into wet. I'm not sure if that's the best technique for these markers, because I may end up kind of contaminating the nib there, but I did want to blend the colors together, and that worked pretty well. I just made sure that I scribbled the marker off on a scrap piece of paper so that before I capped it up, so it wouldn't alter that color. I don't think it would like make a real problem. I just think it would just kind of stain the tip for a bit until you had worked that color out of your marker. But you know, just a word to the wise, if you do that blending technique, just scribble it out. The cupcake was kind of neat here. I like these two cupcakes, and I think the intent for the Food Paint Challenge was to do one or the other, but I kind of like, because it's kind of Valentine-y with a heart cupcake, I thought, oh, well, how about a couple of cupcakes? That's kind of romantic. I like it. So, and I'm all about painting candy anytime, but especially in the Valentine season when it's just bleak and winter outside. I love to do all that Valentine-y artwork stuff. So yeah, just kind of playing with it and getting my feel for it and seeing what sort of textures I can get. There seems to be some sort of decoration on the top of the cupcake that looks almost like brown sugar. I'm not exactly sure what it is, if it's just like a molded sugar cube or what, but I was just trying to get that texture. And I did struggle a bit with the fluting on the icing, because honestly, I didn't take much time with the sketch. I just kind of very quickly doodled it down because I wanted to get in with the painting. This took me 45 minutes to do, so longer than I thought, actually. I thought this was much quicker, but then when I put the footage into my computer, I was like, oh, that's actually over half an hour. I would have thought it took me about 20 minutes because it felt so direct and fast to be working with the markers. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun rediscovering these, and also like the liquid filled markers and the wide markers are new to me, and I really like them. And I'm glad I have a few extra empty ones that I purchased before, because then I can make some colors that I don't have. Now, I thought I would experiment. Well, I did experiment, and you might have seen that. I think it was in my Craft Room Defrag 2025 video, where I'd put India ink in one of my markers, one of the empty markers, and I'm just going to warn you not to do that, because it went moldy. That was gross. So I had to throw the marker away, because I didn't want to try saving the ink and then end up, you know, working with a contaminated batch. So I just chucked the whole thing, sadly. But yeah, definitely for acrylic paint only, I think. I don't know why that went moldy, but it did, and that was really too bad. But anyway, I've decided to kind of experiment with the different types of markers that I had, the different nibs of markers, to get a variety of the strokes and a variety of colors, because that's the probably downside with acrylic markers. You don't have the blending ability like you would if you had tubes of acrylic paint. And while you could scribble it onto a palette and blend them with a brush, they dry so quick. It's such a thin, it's really kind of like an acrylic ink. It's so thin and it dries so quickly that I think you would end up wasting a ton of paint if you did that. So I would highly recommend that, yeah, if you want to do a lot of blending, just use acrylic paint, because it's just going to dry too quickly. This is for, like, you know, you want to just get right down to business. You want to start drawing, you want to doodle, you want to have fun. You're not going to worry about realism or getting, you know, great blends. It's more like, almost gives you like a pop art look to it. And I thought that worked really well for this subject matter. So yeah, if you want that pop art look, I think it works really well. It's also, you can also use these markers for things like if you like to paint on fabric, like on shoes, if you want to do home decor, if you want to do graffiti, if you want to decorate furniture or a skateboard, or if you want to decorate, you could decorate ceramics, but I don't think they'll be washable. I think they would chip off. They say you can bake them in the oven and make them permanent, but I don't know if that works with every pen, so I don't even want to recommend that. The markers here with the black barrel that are dual-ended, those are not waterproof. So I just wanted to let you know that at least the ones I have aren't, and I've had these for a few years, so maybe they've changed the formulation on those. But I also wanted to compare my older ones versus my newer ones, because it does look like those are still being sold. But the nice thing about the ones with the black barrel is that if you do want to blend them out, you can just take a wet brush and blend them out after they dry. And that's kind of nice if you're a sketchbook artist or just an artist that wants to have that flexibility. You want something a little bit more like gouache. I also noticed that the sheen on the paints vary a bit. Like it seems like the paints you have to pump have a little bit more of a shine, or I should say the 3mm ones that you have to pump have more shine than the other ones. The 15mm ones do seem to be a little bit more sheer. They were like a semi-gloss finish, and I find the brush tip ones to be a little bit more matte. And I'm not exactly sure why that is, but it's just something that I've noticed as I've been using these. Like I said, it didn't take a lot of time sketching them, so I'm pretty happy with how that plate came out, because it's really easy to get a very wonky plate. It's kind of like, I don't know, either you're in the zone and you got it right, or you don't. I don't know. So here I thought I'd put a pattern on the wall in back. You can see my reflection in my phone, and I have no makeup on, and I'm wearing my glasses. Oh, I'm such a dork. Anyway, then I went over it with like a brighter teal, because that the blue was so light it looked almost like white, especially having that tan background. So I just altered it, and that's one of the great things about acrylic paint pens, is that if you don't like the way it looks, it dries so fast. Just go right over it with something else. And also, the finish of the pens is so flat that you don't have ridges in your work, which could be really nice if you wanted to do an underpainting, I think, with these and go over it with something else. I would keep in mind that some of the markers are more glossy, and you'd probably struggle to get something to stick on top. And it also would recommend that you work on a smooth paper if you're using the brush tip ones, so you don't wear the brush tips down. But yeah, they're nice and matte, so you could go over it with something else, I think, as long as there was enough texture in the paper to hold it. Now, see there, you can see I made a mistake with my with the checkerboard on some spots, and I was able to cover it up with the other marker. So, I mean, they're pretty easy to use. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if so, I'll put the links to the stuff I used down below, and you can check them out for yourself. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye!